Hi, everyone. Welcome to the HUD Homes. I apologize for the delay. We had a few technical errors, particularly my computer froze right when I was supposed to go online. So I'm going to start sharing my screen with you. Just give everyone a few minutes to log in, open up the screen, and see our session. So thank you for attending if you are online already. I am going to give a few minutes for everyone to log back in just because we did have a delay as far as the starting time. For those of you who aren't aware, my name is Nicole. I'm with Kintave Realty Group. And Nick Kintave is our local LLB here for HUD Homes. We work for BLB Resources. So thank you all for attending. There might be a moment of a little bit of quiet time just while I get everything set up. So thank you for your patience. Hi, everyone. Thank you for attending. Many of you are attending. Many of you are so you can view it from anywhere. There's a quick response to bids, and this is true. It's typically within 24 hours from the bidding deadline. And FHA 203K owner-occupant rehab loan options. And did you know that if FHA financing is used, the termite inspection and treatment is paid by HUD? What a deal! The FSM will only clear the active infestation. There are sealed bids and bid transparency. Now you're saying, well, who can sell a HUD home? How can I get in on this? Any licensed real estate broker, which is registered with HUD, or an agent employed by a HUD registered broker can sell a HUD home. An NAID is required to submit a bid, but is not required to show a HUD home. The broker and agent must also register to bid on www.hudhomestore.com. The HUD registered broker or real estate agent must submit the bid on behalf of an owner-occupant, investor, or good neighbor next door purchaser. Registered nonprofit organizations and government entities may submit bids without the use of real estate broker or agent. One of the things I love about working with HUD is you can view the HUD homes, your buyers can view the HUD homes, anyone can view them. They're all available on HUDhomestore.com. They are featured daily, and they're also on your local MLS boards, so they're pretty much everywhere. As long as you have internet, you'll be able to find them. Now let's talk a little bit about your broker NAID registration, or your NAID number. You can access this by going to HUDhomestore.com, and you'll see right in the top section it says NAID application. This is where you're going to want to click to start the application process. I'm just trying to get my little pen here to work, so bear with me 1 second. Let's see if this works. Okay, we're good. All right, so selling brokers must provide. This is the link that's going to open up. When you click that original link, it's going to take you to this website, and you're going to pay attention right here. It says selling broker must provide. This is all the stuff you're going to submit with your application. And then your 1111 form, the link is right here. And then the 1111A form, which is seen right here, the link to open that is right here. So again, all down here, you need these two links as well. And the NAID processing time is a minimum of 2 weeks. And just to break it down for you a little further, please include the following documents with your completed forms. You need IRS documentation or your Social Security card showing your EIN number or your Social Security number. You need a copy of your driver's license, a copy of your real estate board state license, and a copy of the first page of a recent telephone bill, utility bill, or bank statement, which basically proves your address is where you state it is. Make sure to fill out the entire application, even if it is only recertifying. This will help you as far as delay times. You need original signatures only. Signature stamps or e-signatures are not accepted. If it's signatory to a voluntary affirmative marketing agreement between HUD and your local board, check the box below signature. Indicate board name and do not sign under the non-discrimination disclosure. Use the most recent bill or bank statement possible. Now, once you have your NAID number, the next step is you have to register to bid. This is a different process. On HUDhomestore.com, you have to create a login and password so you can log in and bid on HUD Home Store properties. Each selling broker and agent must register as a bidder. So if your broker has a login and you're an agent, you also need to have your own login because this links it to your license number. The principal broker of your office must first have a valid NAID and complete the registration process before an associate brokers and selling agents register. Your broker cannot register with more than one NAID per state license, and brokers that have a license in multiple states can be linked to multiple NAIDs. If a branch has multiple NAIDs, agents may link to all of the branch NAIDs. To register, you click the bidder link under the register heading on the upper right-hand corner of the page. And you can see we have that circled in red. And I'll just do another little circle here so you can see. And this is on HUDhomestore.com. Again, so log into HUDhomestore.com, or I'm sorry, type HUDhomestore.com in your browser. And then you're going to click this little button right here that says bidder, register, then bidder. Again, this is once you have your NAID number. Then you're going to fill in the required fields on the form, which includes selecting a username, password, and security questions. And these form information is all right here. This is what you need to fill out. On section 3, this has your NAID information. You need to pick if you're a principal broker, associate broker, and selling agent. If you're a selling agent, select selling broker and the NAID type box. And then once you have done this and filled out all the information, you will confirm your information and hit continue. You're going to enter your contact information and accept the terms and enter your security code on section 4. This is where you check off and where you enter in the security code. A message will display showing a successful setup or advising of needed corrections. If needed, make corrections and submit the form again. Otherwise, click the OK button to return to the bidder page. Now let's talk about who's an owner-occupant. An owner-occupant is a buyer who is purchasing a property as a primary residence for at least 12 months after the close of escrow and has not purchased a HUD home as an owner-occupant within the past 24 months. Caution, big red letters. Falsifying information regarding owner-occupant status is considered a felony and is punishable by a fine not to exceed $250,000 and or a prison sentence of not more than 2 years. Buyers, local listing brokers, and selling brokers can all be investigated by HUD. Now, there's a process that HUD follows in order to get the properties listed on the market. Prior to listing, the FSM inspects the property and ensures it's in ready-to-list condition. Then BLB Resources orders an inspection and an as-is FHA appraisal. Also orders a BPO from the LLB. And then once that's all set up, the LLB, which is the local listing broker, lists the property on MLS. After the property is listed, a licensed broker or agent can show the property. HUD-registered selling brokers can submit bids electronically on HUD Home Store, and BLB Resources reviews bids for acceptability. Brokers for accepted offers will be notified by HUDHomestore.com. If your bid is accepted, the buyer must select any state-licensed escrow closing company upon bid acceptance. The buyer select addendum is completed and submitted to BLB Resources within the contract package within 2 days of bid acceptance. The addendum includes your EMD instructions and a statement that the buyer agrees to the EMD being held by the LLB, then forwarded to the selected escrow company within 48 hours of contract ratification. Updated contract packages will be available on both HUDHomestore.com and BLB Resources forms download page corresponding to your state. And here's the link here, blbresources.com/resource map. Buyer select addendum will also be available as a separate downloadable form on the forms page. Note that the original contract package must include a copy of the EMD. Original EMD is submitted to the LLB listing broker within 2 days of bid acceptance. EMD requirements. The earnest money deposit must be in the form of cashier's check, money order, or other certified funds with no termination date or cancellation provision and made payable to both, not just one, both the buyer's select escrow company name, the word or, and then the buyer's name. So for example, if your purchaser is named John Smith, who selected ABC Escrow Company, the check must be made payable to ABC Escrow Company or John Smith. Original checks must be delivered to the local listing broker assigned to the property within 2 business days of acceptance, and a copy of the EMD must be included with the original contract package submitted to BLB Resources. Upon contract execution by BLB Resources, the LLB will be instructed to deliver the EMD to the closing agent selected by the buyer. The selling agent and LLB will receive EMD instructions within the bid acceptance notification emailed from BLB Resources. The amount of EMD required is determined by the sales price as follows. For properties with a sale price of $50,000 or less, the EMD is $500. For properties with a sale price of $50,000 or more, the EMD is $1,000. For vacant lots, the EMD is 50% of the list price. And for good neighbor next door properties, 1% of the list price, not less than $500 and not to exceed $2,000. These amounts are not negotiable. From this point, the sales team will conduct normal contract package review. Ensure the buyer select addendum is included and complete. The copy of escrow company's license and E&O insurance must be included for any escrow company that has not previously closed any HUD transactions. If addendum is missing or incomplete, correction requests will be sent to the selling agent. The license insurance upload link may be sent directly to the escrow company if not provided with the addendum, and the selling agent is non-responsive to correction requests. The sales team will forward buyer select addendum to the Philadelphia HOC so HUD can assign a title ID number. HUD acceptance anticipates a 24-hour turnaround time for this task. After escrow company is assigned a title ID number, contract will be ratified if all other requirements are met. Please note our database has been programmed to prevent ratification promotion to step 8 until escrow company information, license insurance, and HUD title ID have been received and uploaded. This may result in cancellation of your contract if necessary info is not received in a timely manner. HUD is very time sensitive, so make sure you stay within the guidelines and always double check for errors. Upon contract ratification, the LLB will be instructed to forward the EMD to the selected closing agent. Then at closing, either sale closes at closing agent's office or package is emailed out for signatures. The title is transferred to the new owner. The buyer is responsible for rekeying the property after the close of escrow, and the LLB will remove all signage and lockboxes. It is important that you close within 30, 45, or 60 days, depending on your buyer type and finance type. Please be advised that the following closing timelines are in effect for all properties listed under the M&M 3.7 contract. 30 days for investor purchasers regardless of financing type. 30 days for cash hard money purchasers regardless of purchaser type. 45 days for owner occupants using 203B or 203B escrow repair escrow or conventional financing, and then 60 days for owner occupants using 203K financing. If your transaction does not close within the above timeframes, the sale is subject to cancel. Please keep in mind that documents being sent to the closing agent is not considered a closed sale. If you have an owner-occupied transaction and have conditional loan commitments signed by an underwriter, we may grant a one-time extension. The only exception, if delay is outside of your control, for example, waiting on past due HOA lien, termite treatment. How do I show a HUD home? Homes are vacant with a standard MLS lockbox or combo box at time of listing. If keys are missing from the lockbox or combo box, please contact the LLB to have it replaced. Please note that all purchasers must be accompanied by a state licensed broker or agent when viewing any HUD home. There are different finance types, and you'll see this listed on the MLS sheets and also on HUDHomestore.com that tells you what type of financing types are available. For IN or insurable properties, they qualify for FHA 203B financing and do not have MPR or minimum property requirements. And they may qualify also for a 203K financing, a rehab loan for owner occupants only. Insured with escrow, which is IE, insurable with escrow, qualifies for FHA 203B with repair escrow and has MPR repairs of $11,000 or less. A $10,000 repair limit plus 10% overage allowance. Repair escrow is buyer's financial responsibility added to the FHA loan. Is never a credit to the buyer and does not apply if 203B financing is not available and utilized. The lender holds the funds, not escrow. Other financing types are uninsurable or UI. These properties do not qualify for FHA 203B financing. Typically, these properties have MPR repairs exceeding $10,000, or they may not meet other guidelines for FHA financing. And then there's UK, which is uninsurable but 203K eligible. These properties do not qualify for FHA 203B financing, but they may qualify for 203K or 203K streamlined financing. Alternative options to IE financing prior to cancellation, which is 203K financing. You can do a 203K rehab loan for owner occupants only. They enables home buyers to finance a purchase of a house and the cost of its rehabilitation through a single mortgage. The purpose is to fill a need for the home buyer to repair or modernize the home without the relatively high interest rates, short repayment terms, and/or balloon payments. And 203K insured loans save borrowers time and money. There are generally two types of 203K loans. There's a 203K traditional and a 203K streamlined. The traditional 203K loans have a minimum requirement of $5,000 and can be used for structural repairs. Streamlined 203K loans are meant for homes that don't require structural repairs and have a maximum cap of $35,000 in repairs. Both programs above require repairs to be within 30 days after close of escrow and be completed within 6 months. Please refer to your preferred lender for more information about the 203K program and details, or you may find an FHA approved lender in your area by visiting this website here. I'll leave it on the page for just a second in case you need to write it down. Again, it's right here. All set? Okay, moving on. Now there's lots of different types of improvements that buyers make when they're using 203K financing. This includes structural alterations and reconstruction, modernization and improvements to the home's function, elimination of health and safety hazards, changes that improve appearance and eliminate obsolescence, reconditioning or replacing plumbing, installing a well and/or septic system, adding or replacing roofing, gutters, and downspouts, adding or replacing floors and/or floor treatments, major landscape work and site improvements, enhancing accessibility for a disabled person, making energy conservation improvements, and much more. HUD requires that properties financed under this program meet certain basic energy efficiency and structural standards. To find an approved FHA lender, please visit this website here, HUD.gov. I'll give you a second to write it down. Everyone all set? Okay. Okay, how are we all doing here? I just want to check and give everyone a minute. I'm thinking maybe we can open up a Q&A, so I'll just leave the chat lines open for a minute. If you have any questions, you can type them to the right-hand side of the screen here, and I'll be happy to answer them as best I can. Thank you again for attending. Okay, looks like we're good. So let's move on to the next slide. Do I need a pre-approval letter to submit a bid? Yes, the purchaser must have a pre-qualification letter or pre-approval letter from a lender. If this is a cash sale, verification of cash funds is required. Please have this documentation prior to placing your bid. How are bids submitted? Bids can only be submitted through HUD's website, which is hudhomestore.com. Brokers must have an active NAID number or NAID number. This is something we went over previously. And I'm going to leave this video posted to my page, so if anyone needs to go back and get any information, I will leave it up for you guys. The broker and agent must be registered with hudhomestore.com. And there is a deadline. Each property has a different deadline, so you always want to check it. But submit bids are by 11:59 p.m. Central Time by the bid deadline date. So once you're on hudhomestore.com, you'll check the bid deadline date for the property you're interested in, and it's always by 11:59 p.m. Central Time. Now let's go over the listing period change and bid review update. The exclusive listing period, which is insured or insured with escrow, there is a 15-day exclusive listing period for owner-occupant buyers on properties listed as insured or insured with escrow. If there are no acceptable owner-occupant bids during the first 15 days on insured and insured with escrow properties, they will be featured in the extended listing period with bids reviewed daily, Monday through Friday. The length of the exclusive listing period for uninsured is 5 days. Bids on insured and insured with escrow properties will continue to be reviewed on the next business day following the 10th day of the exclusive listing period. Bids submitted Mondays through Thursdays will still be reviewed on the same schedule as before, as long as one of those days or Friday is not a federal holiday. So here's a sample of the bid review scenario. This is just an example. So say it's listed for sale on the 1st of the month. The bid's deadline submission date would be the 10th, and that would be due by 11:59 p.m. Central Time. And all sealed bids ends, but still in the exclusive period. Starting on the 11th, HUD will perform the initial bid review. And then next, if it still hasn't gone under contract by the 14th, the weekend bid review, which is Friday to Sunday, bids are open simultaneously. The 15th would be the last day of the exclusive listing period. And then the 16th would be when the extended listing period begins. And like I said, I am going to open up for Q&A again soon. So if you have questions, please type them in the text box. And once I'm able to, I'll review and respond to any questions you have. All bids received on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday will be open to the next business day, which is Monday, and will be considered as received simultaneously. If there are no acceptable owner-occupant bids received during the first 10 days on insured and insured with escrow properties, bids will be reviewed daily, which is Monday through Friday until the 15th day. If no acceptable owner-occupant bids have been received by the 15th day, then these properties will be featured in the extended listing period, which is open for all bidders, with bids reviewed daily, Monday through Friday. And here is another sample of how this would work if the bid review falls on a weekend. I'll just leave this on my screen so you can take a look. Okay, moving on. Uninsured bid review. Bids on uninsured properties will continue to be reviewed on the next business day following the 5th day of the exclusive listing period. If no acceptable owner-occupant bids have been received by the 5th day, uninsured properties will be featured in the extended listing period, open for all bidders with bids reviewed daily, Monday through Friday. And bid review over weekends for all insurability types. All bids received on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday will be opened the next business day, which is Monday, and will be considered as received simultaneously. If Monday is a holiday, all bids received on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday will be reviewed on Tuesday. If Friday is a holiday, all bids received on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday will be reviewed on Monday. If a holiday falls midweek, bids received on the day prior to the holiday and on the holiday will be reviewed the following business day, unless there is a listing period change or the holiday is in the middle of a 5 or 10-day bid accumulation period. For example, if a holiday is on a Wednesday, all bids received on Tuesday and Wednesday will be reviewed on Thursday. There are different listing periods over weekends. Please note, different listing periods that end and start over a weekend or holiday will not have simultaneous bid openings the following business day. For example, if the exclusive listing period ends on a Saturday and the extended listing period begins on a Sunday and Monday is not a holiday, bids from Friday and Saturday will be reviewed first and simultaneously on Monday. If no acceptable bids were received on Friday or Saturday, then bids from Sunday will be reviewed. And here's an example of a calendar scenario for listing period changes over weekend. So you can see on the 12th, that was the bid submission deadline date by 11:59 p.m. Sealed bid period ends, but listing is still an exclusive period. The 13th starts initial bid review. So then the 17th is the last day of exclusive listing period. The 18th would be extended listing period. And then the 19th would be extended. And then on the 20th, Friday's bids reviewed first, then Saturday and Sundays as a group. HUD home store notes. Bid submission dates will be extended for bids made on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. The bid submission deadline will be Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Central Time. If Monday is a holiday, the bid submission deadline will be Monday at 11:59 p.m. Central Time. If the listing period remains the same on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and Monday if it's a federal holiday, agents and brokers can submit only one bid during that time period for a single buyer. If the listing period changes on Saturday or Sunday, or Monday if it's federal holiday, agents and brokers will be able to submit two bids for the same buyer during that time period. One bid during exclusive listing period and one bid during the extended listing period. So if it transitions over, you can submit a bid during the extended listing period as well. The bid submission deadline and the bid submission time remaining will let the agent/broker know how much time they have to place their bids in each of the listing periods. Bids are accepted based on HUD's guidelines, which include considering the highest net, not the highest offering price. So you'll notice that when you place an offer, there's a section that says net to HUD. That's what HUD looks at. An owner-occupant may bid on more than one property. However, BLB Resources will award only one acceptable bid that is in the best interest of HUD. How will I be notified if my bid is accepted? The only time that you'll get an email from HUD in response to your offer is if your offer is accepted. So when BLB Resources accepts a bid, the selling agent who submitted the winning bid will be notified by HUDhomestore.com. BLB Resources will also endeavor to notify the agent by email or a phone call. And we, as the LLB office, we also send an email to the agent notifying them of their acceptance, along with further instructions. Currently, all bidders are not notified, so make sure you log into your HUD Home Store profile to check the status of your bid daily. So if you submit a bid and you haven't heard anything, log in and check, and you'll be able to see the status if it's accepted, if it's rejected, or if another bid was accepted. And this is in regards to the mortgagee letter for 2015 to 2017. Per a national HUD directive from headquarters, the FHA appraised value has been removed from the HUD Home Store website indefinitely. We have been instructed not to give this value out, which means that we will no longer include this value in any of our listing reports or within the disclosures document on the addendums tab of the HUD Home Store website. So if your buyer's loan officer says they need a copy of the HUD appraisal, it will not be provided. Key points follow. However, please review the entire mortgagee letter for all details, and you can do that via this link here. I'll leave it on my screen in case anyone wants to take notes or has any questions. We all set? And this is also about the mortgagee letter. HUD will not provide a copy of the appraisal, which is obtained for marketing purposes only, which is what I previously said. If a purchaser is securing financing, their lender will take the appropriate steps to determine if they must obtain an appraisal, including reviewing the mortgagee letter 2015 to 2017. All appraisals obtained by the lender are at the purchaser's expense, and the purchaser must pay in cash the difference between the bid amount and the appraised value. And here's just a screenshot of mortgagee letter 2015 to 2017. Okay, so one of the things that I'm really excited about letting you know about today is the HUD home sales incentive for the Philadelphia HOC region, which is our region. Effective October 1st, 2016, the following sales incentives are available on all properties sold within our region. There's a buyer bonus, which is $100 down payments on HUD homes financed with FHA insured with escrow or FHA 203K financing. So if your buyer is getting FHA financing, ask your loan officer about the $100 down program. That's amazing. So all they need to bring is $100. If your lender has if your lender has any questions regarding the Philadelphia HOC $100 down incentive program, please have them call 1-800-CALL-FHA and speak to an underwriter, and they'll be able to get more information as well. And there's also an agent bonus. Yay for us. Real estate selling agents, which is the agent for the buyers, not the listing agents, the buyer's agent, you guys, get $500 for every HUD home purchased with an FHA rehab loan. So in order to qualify for the broker bonus, the bid must have been awarded on or after October 1st, 2016, and the purchase must be made with an FHA 203K loan. So make sure you note that down. Only the 203K loan, which is the rehab loan, the buyer's agent gets a $500 bonus. Now let's talk about the lottery and the Good Neighbor Next Door program, which is the GNND. Certain properties that are noted in the system as being in a lottery area of interest are listed in the lottery program. Properties in designated revitalization areas are also assigned to the lottery program. Please note that only single unit residences in revitalized areas go into the lottery program. 2 to 4 units in revitalized areas do not go into the lottery program. These properties are only available for Good Neighbor Next Door participants, HUD-approved nonprofit organizations, and government entities. So if you're checking a property status online that's just listed, you might notice that it says lottery or in GNND program. It's going to have either of those statuses, and that's what we're talking about on this slide. The lottery bidding process. So during the lottery bidding process, the property is listed and sold exclusively through HUDhomestore.com. It's not on MLS yet. So this is, like we said, for nonprofits primarily, and they must submit full-priced offers. HUD does not pay closing costs or commissions for these sales. Neither listing agent nor selling agent will receive a commission unless you sell the property to a Good Neighbor Next Door participant with a separate negotiated commission agreement between you and the buyer. So HUD is not going to pay you a commission if you are submitting a bid for a Good Neighbor Next Door buyer. You would need to negotiate a commission with that buyer itself. So what is a Good Neighbor Next Door buyer? There are designated properties in revitalization areas available at 50% discount of list price. And this is available to officers, police officers, teachers, emergency medical techs, and firefighters. The properties must be located in the area or district where the GNND participant works or services. How are we doing so far? Everyone okay? I know this is a long training, but trust me, it's worth it to stick through it. There's lots of great information, and I appreciate you being here. Let's go on to the good neighbor next door participation and stipulations. The buyer must meet HUD's eligibility requirements. The buyer must sign a second mortgage and note for the discounted amount of the list price. No interest or payments are required on silent second. So if the buyer fulfills the 3-year occupancy requirement, there's no interest or payments required on the silent second that they are signing the second mortgage. And additional addenda are required for these sales. And neither buyer nor his or her spouse may have owned any residential property during the year prior to the date of submitting a bid on the home intended to purchase. And neither the buyer nor his or her spouse may have ever purchased another home under the Good Neighbor Next Door sales program. So this is literally a once in a lifetime opportunity. And how much does HUD pay towards closing costs and commissions? For closing costs, HUD will pay up to 3% towards a buyer's closing costs if negotiated in the bid and the contract, and it's for owner occupants only. So when you're submitting your initial offer or bid for your buyer in HUD Home Store, you need to make sure that you specify that you want the closing costs back. There is a section for that on the offer screen. If it's not entered, then it's not going to be applied. And all costs will be paid in full compliance with the guidelines provided in the HUD handbook. On a side note, I recommend you get a copy of the HUD handbook. There's lots of great information in addition to what I'm sharing with you here today. In regards to commissions, HUD pays up to a 6% commission unless otherwise noted. For example, there's a $2,000 total on some properties, especially ones with lower list price or land. Up to 3% to the selling broker unless otherwise noted, and 3% to the listing broker unless otherwise noted. Closing costs paid automatically by HUD. Proration of property taxes and any special assessments such as HOA fees and utility bills are paid. And recording fees and charges for the deed, for example, the normal amount charged per page for recordation. And HUD will not pay for a lender's certification. Commission restrictions. Commission is dispersed to the brokerage in exactly as it is shown on the contract. Commission entered by the selling broker on the electronic bid must match the commission on the sales contract. So if you do have an accepted bid, BLB sends you an email with a PDF attachment that breaks down all the numbers for you. And you just have to make sure that everything adds up as far as what you submitted from your bid confirmation, the PDF that you received from BLB, and the contract that you were preparing for your buyer to sign. Both closing costs and commission amounts must be shown on the contract and be deducted from the purchase price, which will reduce the net to HUD. And effective December 15th, 2016. Everyone listening, this is important. You guys, HUD will no longer pay a sales commission to the selling broker, which is buyer's brokers, on an investor sale if the investor buyer is also the selling broker. So if you're the buyer and you're buying it for yourself, but as an investment, you will not receive a commission. For example, if selling agent John Doe is representing themselves on a HUD sales transaction and their sales contract is for investor purchaser type, then HUD will not be paying the selling broker commission to John Doe. This would also affect the selling agent commission if the selling agent or buyer's agent is somehow affiliated with the buyer and the buyer is an investor type. For example, if the selling agent John Doe places an investor purchaser bid for XYZ company, and they are also affiliated or own a stake with XYZ company, then they will not receive a selling agent commission. So if you're submitting an offer under your LLC, your trusts, your company, you still will not receive a commission. This new policy only applies to the selling broker side and only if the selling broker is also the investor buyer on the same sales transaction. HUD Home Store will not be programmed to accommodate this change. However, BLB will be screening purchaser types and contracts accordingly. We will provide future communication to inform you of any updates or additional addenda added to the sales contract packages. And how can I cancel my client's bid? I know we all don't like to do this, but if you have to cancel it for any reason, prior to bid acceptance, agents may cancel, modify, or withdraw bids by logging in on HUDhomestore.com. And please note, multiple bids are not allowed for the same property. The previous bid must be canceled prior to placing a new bid on the same property. After bid acceptance, please complete the cancellation request form available on BLB Resources, Agent Resources page corresponding to your state, and that is blbresources.com/resource map. And you can also fax this confirmation, this form here, the cancellation request, to 248-301-6647 or email to 3pcancellations@blbresources.com. And I also recommend that you CC the listing broker on the property that you need to cancel the bid for after bid acceptance, so that way the listing broker is also aware of what is happening. So in order to do a cancellation after bid acceptance, you need the signed cancellation form, which is available on blbresources.com. You need reason and supporting documentation, the determination of the EMD status, and if no documentation is submitted with the cancellation request form, the EMD will be automatically forfeited. When BLB Resources receives a cancellation request, we will process the request within 2 business days. And a backup bids, this is an update. Effective immediately, backup bids will no longer be awarded. Typically in the past with other companies prior to BLB, the asset management company would just go ahead and accept a backup bid if they feel that it is a strong bid. But from this point, they won't be doing that anymore. Backup bids will no longer be awarded, and they will be reviewed solely at seller discretion. The buyer should be recommended to still check the backup box on line 10 of the contract if they want their offer considered in the event that it's in the best interest to review and accept backups. And backup bids still apply to Good Neighbor Next Door and nonprofits. And how is a HUD home financed? Depending on the condition of the house and the mortgage amount, an FHA 203B loan or an FHA 203K loan may be used. Buyers may also obtain conventional financing or pay cash. May I obtain a copy of the appraisal? Like we previously went over, HUD will not provide a copy of the appraisal, which is obtained for marketing purposes only. If a purchaser is securing financing, their lender will take appropriate steps to determine if they must obtain an appraisal, including reviewing the mortgage letter 2015 to 2017. All appraisals obtained by the lender are at the purchaser's expense, and the purchaser must pay in cash the difference between the bid amount and the appraised value. HUD's as-is policy. This is across the board. HUD's properties are sold as is. HUD makes no representations or warranties concerning the condition of the property and will make no repairs to the property. Buyer's home inspection. BLB Resources recommends the purchaser retain the services of a home inspection company. The purchaser has 15 days from contract ratification to conduct a home inspection. Utilities may be turned on for up to 72 hours for buyer's inspection at buyer's expense. Deposits and fees for activating utilities may be required by the FSM, and you will please contact BLB Resources for further instructions. And if you actually go on blbresources.com and go in your state section, you'll see there's a link that you can click that has utility activation instructions. And if you're ever curious on how this works, I believe I'll have another webinar on this as well, but you can view it from there as well. There's a different form that you have to fill out for the FSM company. And please don't wait to do this inspection. Get it done first thing. 15-day inspections is not a free pass, and it's not a contingency to the contract. So it's basically for buyer's knowledge. Prior to close of escrow, buyers may not do home improvements, repairs, or landscape modifications, occupy the property, change any locks, or store personal property on the premises. These actions are strictly prohibited, are breach of contract, and may be grounds for the cancellation of the sale and forfeiture of the EMD. And one side note I want to say here is please, 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 agents, do not give your buyers the lockbox code. They are not allowed to access the property without you or a licensed agent. Oftentimes something might happen, a pipe might bust, something goes on, and nobody knows what happened. The buyer was in the house by themselves. So it's a liability on you, on us, on everybody. Please do not give out lockbox codes. And what is the extension policy? Extensions are granted in 15-day increments only. If the sale fails to close for any reason, the extension fee is forfeited, even if a portion or all of the earnest money is refunded. So say your gross sale price is any sales price, your fee per day is $10, and your extension fee is $150. May I give my buyer a key at closing? No, please do not give your buyer a key at closing. Purchasers should be advised that they are responsible for rekeying the locks of the property immediately after closing for their own security. The list agent, the LLB, us, our office, or any other LLB in your region are going to go to the property, take the key, the lockbox, and the sign after you confirm that your buyer did their walkthrough. At that point, it's up to the buyer to have the property rekeyed. And the HUD sales contract. Please download the electronically fillable sales contract package from the addendums tab on HUDhomestore.com. Or you can do it from BLB Resources, Agent Resources page corresponding to your state. I prefer to use this one. Either one is great. However, the BLB Resources one has a cover page. And as you're entering your data on the first page, it auto-populates the appropriate fields on the sales contract package. So it's kind of neat. You don't have to, I still recommend reading through each page and making sure all the information was entered correctly. However, once you do enter it on the first page, it carries through to its coinciding documents. So this is the instructions for the sales contract. This is what you will view when you do download the sales contract. This has instructions on what needs to go in every line. I cannot stress enough, please read the instructions. Please make sure you use blue ink, and please make sure to follow the time guidelines. All these things are very important. I know I sound like a broken record, but I mean it. Make sure you follow the instructions. When you have a correction, or if you're not in the approved timeline of when you need to get everything submitted, HUD can cancel your bid. I've seen it happen. So please make sure, follow instructions, use blue ink, and double check everything. Oh, and of course, follow timelines. All right, so this is that first page I was telling you about. Once you download your sales contract, these are all the fields that has the main information for your accepted offer. Once you type this in, it does carry through to the remaining contract pages. So when data is entered on the cover page of the electronically fillable sales contract package, it will auto-populate the appropriate fields of the sales contract package, and you will not need to manually input data. I do have a whole different video just on this. So if you want to know how to do a HUD contract, what I'm doing now is kind of a quick review, but if you want a more detailed review, it is posted on my YouTube page. I encourage you to view it, and let me know if you have any questions at any time. I'm always available. So if you choose to manually input data into a blank sales contract, please follow the instructions in the following pages to reduce possible errors. And please note that the conventional loan box must be checked if your purchaser is obtaining other financing, such as VA, Rural Development, USDA, or hard money. Okay, so here we are in our sales contract. The upper right-hand box is your FHA case number, and line 1 is where you would enter the purchaser's name and complete property address of the property they are purchasing. Remember to include the county, not the country, the county. And like I said, this is if you're manually entering it. If you use the first page, like in the previous screen, this one right here, then all this information will be automatically entered for you. Line 2, please enter the names and styles in which title will be taken. Common examples of style in which title may be taken include a single man or woman, joint tenants with the right of survivorship, community property, tenants in common. Please advise your clients to seek legal counsel if they have questions regarding the style in which they should take title. And one thing I want to note, if your purchaser is completing the purchase as their company or an LLC, you don't need to choose any of these items here or examples. The LLC is sufficient enough. Okay, line 3 is your EMD amount. Please enter the purchase price and amount of earnest money deposit. So if your purchase price is $50,000 or less, then the EMD is $500. If your purchase price of $50,001 or more, the EMD is $1,000. For vacant lots, the EMD is 50% of the list price, and for good neighbor next door properties, it's 1% of the list price, or not less than $500 and not to exceed $2,000. These amounts are not negotiable. Please also enter the name of the buyer selected escrow closing company. Do not enter HUD designated closing agent. Make sure you take the name of the company that your buyer gives you and enter it in this section here, where we have ABC Escrow Company. Any contracts submitted, sorry, my emails just keep popping up here. Any contract submitted with HUD designated closing agent may receive a correction request, which may delay ratification. Line 4, enter when appropriate, strictly in compliance with seller's offering. If the property is listed with insured financing available and purchaser is obtaining FHA financing, check the first box and the applicable type of insured financing. If the purchaser is utilizing the $100 down payment program option on an insured with escrow or 203K eligible property, please enter $100 as the down payment in this line. Excuse me. Please also complete the general addendum when a purchaser takes advantage of this program. If the insured mortgage involves a repair escrow, which is insured, i.e. properties only, check the appropriate block and insert the words TBD or to be determined. Note, if a purchaser is paying cash or applying for conventional or other financing not involving FHA, please check the appropriate box. Lines 5, 6A, and 6B. Line 5 is your closing costs. If closing costs were included when the bid was submitted, the amount entered on this line must match the bid. Please note that requested closing costs may be up to 3% of the purchase price. If the requested amount exceeds the actual closing costs, the remaining difference will not be credited to the purchaser and does not reduce the purchase price. So it's 3% regardless. Note, escrow fees will now be a buyer's expense. HUD will only pay a portion of the closing fees. If the buyer includes closing costs on line 5 at the time of bid submission and there are sufficient funds remaining to allow for this fee to be paid. If there are no closing costs included in the bid, the buyer will be required to pay all escrow and closing fees. Closing cost credits only apply to owner-occupant purchasers. So line 6A is the selling agent commission up to 3% of the purchase price unless otherwise noted. This must be the same commission entered at the time the bid was submitted. And just another note here, HUD will no longer pay a sales commission to the selling broker on an investor sale if the investor buyer is also the selling broker on that file. In line 6B, listing agent commission is 3% of the purchase price unless otherwise noted. Please note that the selling agent may reduce their commission, but the listing agent commission may not be reduced. Line 7, subtract lines 5, 6A, and 6B from line 3 to determine the net amount due to HUD and enter on this line. Line 8, check the appropriate box for occupancy as submitted in the bid. So unless the purchaser is a nonprofit or government agency, the discount amount should always be blank. If the purchaser is a nonprofit or government agency, enter the appropriate discount percentage. Line 9, this is where you enter the number of days for closing. So like we reviewed earlier, 30 days for investor purchasers regardless of financing type, 30 days for cash or hard money purchasers regardless of purchaser type, 45 days for owner occupants using 203B repair or conventional financing, and 60 days for owner occupants using 203K financing. Also, please enter the name of the buyer's selected escrow company, which must match line 3. Do not enter HUD designated closing agent. Any contract submitted with HUD designated closing agent may receive a correction request, which may delay ratification. Line 10, check the appropriate box for backup status. Update effective immediately. Backup bids will no longer be awarded. Backup bids will be reviewed solely at seller discretion, but we do recommend you check the box if the buyer agrees to it. And line 11, if the property was built prior to 1978, check the box for LBP, which is a lead-based paint addendum, is attached. If built 1978 or later, check box for not attached. The box for other addendum is attached. This must always be checked. And note, any addendum not previously approved by the seller may not be made part of this contract. For example, your state contract forms, smoke detector addendum, etc. Approved addendum must be signed and in the same style as those signing as purchasers. Line 12, the purchasers must initial on purchaser's line. Please do not initial on the seller's line. If there is more than one purchaser, please remember to have all purchasers initial on the purchaser's initial line. I usually just squeeze both initials next to each other on the same line. Line 13 is your purchaser information. Please remember to type or print purchasers' names. Signatures, all signatures are required. All purchaser signatures are required. The Social Security number or EIN or FIN for all purchasers, and purchaser's address and phone number, the date the contract was signed. Please do not have purchasers sign on the seller line or in the authorizing signature and date box. This is to be used by the authorized HUD signing agent only. The broker who registered for the NAID must sign. If the selling agent is not the broker, the selling agent may not sign. Signature stamps and DocuSign stamps are not acceptable. Authorization letters are only acceptable on a case-by-case basis, and the letter must be case-specific. The NAID must match the NAID under which the bid was submitted. So the conditions of sale addendum must be signed by the purchaser at the bottom of the page. Can we see here? Right here, John Doe must be signed. And I always have the buyer's date as well. So copy of earnest money deposit check. These are items that must complete contract package must also include the following. You're sending the original EMD to the LOB. The copy of the earnest money check must be included in your contract. And pre-qualification letter or proof of cash funds, a state agency disclosure form, and a 3P buyer select closing agent addendum. So as we reviewed previously, earnest money deposits must be certified funds. So either a cashier's check from a bank or a U.S. postal money order. Checks from credit unions, Western Union, MoneyGram, etc. are not acceptable. It has to be a U.S., right here, U.S. postal money order. Made payable to, this is an example. You need to fill in your information here. So the buyer selected escrow company name or purchaser's name. Don't put one or the other. You need to write it exactly like this. So to ABC Escrow or John Doe. This way, if transaction is not consummated, buyer could more easily cash the check, and checks made payable to HUD will be returned for correction. Please make sure, this is very important, reference the property address and the FHA case number on your check. Please note that original EMDs must now be delivered to the listing agent within 2 business days of bid acceptance, not to BLB Resources. We recommend that a copy of the buyer select addendum be provided to the LOB so that the LOB may verify the EMD is correct. A copy of the EMD must be included with the original contract package delivered to BLB Resources within 2 business days of bid acceptance. Proof of funds. If paying cash, the purchaser must show proof of funds equal to or greater than the purchase price. If obtaining financing, a valid pre-qualification letter must be included. The approved loan amount must be equal to or greater than the purchase price, so the purchaser may be required to show proof of additional funds if the loan amount is less than the purchase price, and the escrow amount, if any, must also be included. If owner-occupant purchaser, occupancy section of LSR must state property will be primary residence of purchaser. Must be on lender's letterhead with loan officer's email address. And your agency disclosure, this will be your state agency disclosure. So please ensure that the sales contract package includes your state agency disclosure form from your brokerage. Please note that this is not a BLB Resources or HUD form. On to the 3P Buyer Select Closing Agent Addendum. So this, you're going to fill in the case number, the FHA case number, address, purchaser's name, and selling agent info. Fill in escrow company information and attach a copy of E&O and license if no previous HUD transactions were closed. Purchasers and selling agent must sign and date at the bottom. Complete contract package may also include the following: the lead-based paint addendum, which is required if built prior to 1978. Additional lead-based paint information receipt addendum, required if built prior to 1978. The flood zone disclosure and addendum, which is required if located in a FEMA flood zone. And proof of identity. The sales package verification checklist is also required. The LBP disclosure. If the property was built prior to 1978, the 2-page LBP disclosure form must be downloaded from the addendums tab of the property details on HUDHomestore.com. You may also download a blank LBP disclosure addendum from the forms page corresponding to your state, and that can be found on blbresources.com/resource map. Selling broker must initial one of the 3 financing types. So no FHA financing, any FHA 203K, any FHA financing except 203K, or FHA 203K financing. Purchaser must initial 2 acknowledgments on page 2. Selling broker to initial the 3rd acknowledgement, and purchaser and selling broker must sign page 2. For a 203K loan on the lead-based paint addendum, the FHA 203K rehab mortgage financing. If deteriorated lead-based paint was identified and the buyer is purchasing the home with a 203K loan, HUD will credit the buyer the amount in the stabilization cost estimate up to 10% of the purchase price, but no more than $4,000. Again, this is important to note. If LBP was identified, The most they'll pay is $4,000. And the buyer must receive and sign the LBP disclosure addendum found on the addendums tab of HUD Home Store as part of the contract. LBP information receipt addendum. Per housing notice H2014-01 issued 1/10/2014, all contract packages now include a new form, the additional LBP information receipt addendum. The form is included in all contract packages, but is only required on properties built prior to 1978, regardless of the purchaser's financing type. Must be submitted with a contract package within 2 business days of bid acceptance. Form is also available on the Agent Resources page corresponding to your state on the BLB Resources website. This may also be required prior to close of escrow if additional LBP information becomes available. Please note that the only time this is applicable is if the purchaser is using FHA financing. And if submitted separately from the original contract package, forward to BLB Resources via fax or email, and here is their fax and email address. All properties built before 1978 have a LBP disclosure on the addendums tab in HUDhomestore.com. This disclosure will state one of the following. Either the seller has records pertaining to lead-based paint. If this is the case, purchasers must initial the first line of the new LBP information receipt addendum. So on that addendum, this is what it looks like here. If you see has records, then they would initial this one. So and if there's no records, then it will be like this. So if you see has no records on the addendum, then they are going to initial right here. And that states has no records. So keep in mind that on the lead-based paint addendum, the purchaser must initial the remaining 2 lines, regardless of which of the first 2 lines were initialed. Purchaser and selling broker must sign. Please contact the sales department corresponding to your contract area for any additional questions pertaining to this new form. Flood zone disclosure and addendum. This is required if the property is located in a FEMA flood zone. You would complete the top portion, and then the purchaser and selling agent must sign and date at the bottom. Proof of identity. Copies of documentation may be submitted to show that the legal name on contract package matches the bid submission. This may include a copy of the purchaser's driver's license, passport, social security card, and or recent pay stub that shows the social security number. And this is optional. It does not have to be submitted. Sorry about that. But it may be requested as well. The sales package verification checklist. We strongly recommend a detailed check of the sales package using the sales package verification checklist, but is not required to be submitted with the contract package. Note that errors and or omissions on the HUD 9548 sales contract may result in the cancellation of the provisional bid acceptance. Corrections will require a new original to be sent overnight delivery to BLB Resources. So like I said, I always encourage you double check because you might have to pay overnight shipping twice. FSM inspection request forms. Please view the agent info tab of the property details on HUDhomestore.com for the FSM assigned to the property. Original utility request form and deposit, if applicable, must be sent to the FSM after contract ratification. Do not send the utility request forms to BLB Resources or the LLB. BLB Resources does not process utility activation requests. Purchaser's inspection may not be done until the signed form is returned from the FSM. It is the purchaser's responsibility to activate utilities. Neither BLB resources nor the assigned FSM will activate utilities, but the purchaser has to have permission first. And these are really important, guys. Big star here. Most common sales contract errors. Let's take a little break. That way, if anyone has any questions, I can answer anything. If you have any questions, you can type them in the box to the side of this video here. I'll give everyone a minute. Okay, we ready? Most common sales contract errors. Line 1. Bingo, name spelled wrong. Double check your spelling, guys. The line could be left blank. The name doesn't match the bid. For example, bid and personal name contract came in with company name. And one name on bid, however, contract comes in with additional purchaser on contract. We only use add purchasers using an addendum. So if you forget to add the purchaser, the add purchaser addendum is located on the BLB resources website. Line 2, the buyer name to only appear once, name is duplicated frequently. We need the title, style, name, marital status, or gender. So for example, John Smith, a married man, Jane Doe, a single woman, John and Mary Smith, husband and wife. Tenants in common, joint tenants with rights of survivorship, etc. is allowed. However, the following is not allowed: warranty deed, bargain and sale deed, quitclaim deed, etc. Line 3, the EMD, do not leave it blank. It needs to be 500 or 1,000 unless GNND or land. And the EMD is held by, this is frequently missing the name of the closing agent or incorrect information or blank. Line 4, choose the correct loan type to match the bid. This can only be changed by addendum. Do not make a change on the contract. The contract has to match the bid. Nothing should appear in the lines regarding down payment, mortgage, or number of days, with the exception of the $100 down program. If it is an FHA loan and the purchaser is utilizing the $100 down program, then $100 should appear in the down payment section. Everything else remains blank. The part that states said mortgage involves a repair escrow should be blank with the exception of FHA 203B with repair escrow, and in this case, it should state TBD only. Line 7. All of these lines must be completed and must match the bid exactly as submitted. As a reminder, sales agents who are also investor purchasers may not ask for closing costs or commission. If they bid using closing cost or commission, they will have to complete a new contract removing these numbers. And line 8, purchaser type must match the bid. Investors who inadvertently bid as owner-occupied must cancel and resubmit the bid. Line 9, please enter the correct time here. Owner-occupant 203B, IE, or conventional financing, enter 45 days. Owner-occupant cash, enter 30 days. Owner-occupant FHA 203K, enter 60 days. All investors, regardless of type of financing, enter 30 days. And that's important. All investors, 30 days. Line 10, one box must be checked whether to hold as backup or not. This is frequently missing or the wrong box checked. Line 11, LBP addendum is or is not attached or incorrect box checked or frequently missing. Our package auto checks other addendum is attached, but handwritten contracts miss this frequently. I strongly encourage you don't handwrite your contracts. I believe that HUD is saying that they're not accepting handwritten contracts. At this point, they all need to be typed in. Line 12, initials are frequently missing. Must be wet ink or need a new signature. Line 13, wet ink signature of buyer, printed name also. If it is a corporation or LLC, business name must be printed. Purchaser must sign and print name and title as such. For example, John Doe, managing member. Purchaser address required. PO boxes are not allowed, and the phone number is frequently missing. Date contract signed is frequently missing or in the wrong spot. These are all things that will get you red flagged and have your contract sent back for corrections. Certification of broker. Business name and address to match NAID. Correct EIN or SSN needed and must match NAID. The broker signing must be the broker on the NAID. If someone else signs, they must provide a broker authorization letter signed by the broker of record. And a few other sales contract errors. The PCR is missing or not signed. All accepted bids require a signed copy of the PCR, which is the property condition report, and also a buyer signed copy of the listing disclosure. Both of these you can find on HUDhomestore.com under the addendums tab. Sometimes the LBP addendum is missing, or in the LBP addendum, the broker not initialing and signing, broker initials on wrong loan type, purchaser not initialing both spots. LBP receipt addendum. This form has lots of corrections. Applicable LBP statement initialed in line 1 and 2. Purchasers need to initial line 3 and 4 always. It is difficult asking for corrections for this form as agents get it confused with the LBP addendum. Some agents think it is the LBP addendum. And the BSP closing agent instructions, not complete. The agent should also send over the closing agent E&O insurance state license with this document so that we can quickly get them in our system. If the closing agent has had another deal that is not a transition file with BLB, we would already have their information. It is better to get it up front and not have to worry about it later. Agents do not have to hold up sending us the original contract package waiting on this form. It can be emailed or faxed. So if you're waiting on the attorney to sign the closing agent instructions, go ahead and submit your original contract to BLB and then email or fax them the closing agent instructions. The closing agent instructions only don't have to be original. The HUD electronic filing form. Agents need to understand that this pertains to the purchaser. Whether or not the purchaser is an agent and purchaser needs to initial, not check mark. EMD checks. Not made out properly, not certified funds, not given to the listing broker. Purchaser changes closing company, and now they need a new check made out to the new closing company. Checks made out, closing agent or buyer name looks like this. First American Title or John Smith. If it is only made out to the closing company, we will accept. However, it is preferred that it's made out to both with the word or. When we ask for a new original on a sales contract and we tell them all of the corrections, they fix what we asked them to do, and then they change other parts of the contract that weren't wrong in the first place, and now they are wrong. Please pay attention to this. Only fix what BLB is asking you to fix. Agents should always address email correspondence with the case number and street address when emailing us. This includes emails to BLB. This includes emails to the LLB. It just helps everyone keep track of their files. If a fax is sent in, please make sure the case number is printed somewhere on each page, and absolutely no whiteout on the HUD 9548 sales contracts. And always use blue ink. I'm just going to do this because I like to reiterate it. Blue. Blue ink. Where do I deliver or mail my contract copy of VMD and addenda if I have the winning bid? Please deliver the original sales contract, copy of VMD, and addenda to BLB Resources within 2 business days to BLB Resources, Eastern Regional Office. And then this is the address. Circle that for you. If you have questions about this or you want me to email it over to you, I'll be happy to help out, okay? And may I advertise HUD homes? Yes, any agent may advertise HUD homes. Please abide by the following guidelines. Advertise HUD homes in a professional, ethical, and positive manner. Please refer to properties as HUD homes or HUD owned or HUD acquired. Always include the Equal Housing Opportunity logo and or statement on any and all advertising, including signage, websites, flyers, etc. Note any floodplain zones or other warning information as it appears on the property's internet listing, if applicable. Adhere to all federal, state, county, city, and real estate commission advertising regulations and the Truth in Lending Act when advertising HUD homes. When showing HUD homes, always secure the property, all doors, windows, etc. And please remember to put the key back in the lockbox. I know what happens. Sometimes we all do it. We walk away and say, oh no, I still have the key in my pocket. Well, make sure you go back and you put the key back in the lockbox, please. Thank you. Things not to do. These are big no-nos. Advertise homes before they are listed for sale to the general public. Use HUD or FHA logos and seals. This can be found in the HUD handbook. And state or imply the price of the property differs from the list price shown on the HUD website. Do not give out the HUD keys or lockbox codes. Do not refer to or advertise HUD homes as distressed, repo, foreclosed, repossessed, must sell, or any other adjectives with notable negative connotation. Place signage in or on any HUD property except LLBs. LLBs can do it. Selling brokers cannot. Destroy, damage, or remove the advertising or signage of another HUD registered selling or listing agent. Where can I advertise? Newspapers, home magazines, flyers, billboards, seminars, social media, internet, postcards, message boards, email lists, Craigslist, TV, or radio. The options are endless. Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, anything, whatever you can think of. If it gets the word out there, do it. And that is the end. So again, thank you all so much for attending. I truly appreciate that you took the time with me here. I know it was long. If you do have questions at any time, you can always reach out to us. You can call us, email us. We're always available. I am going to leave the screen open for just a minute just because I want to see if anyone has any questions. If you don't, I get it. It's okay. And if you have questions and you think of them later, just send me an email or call me. All right. I look forward to our next training session together. Have an awesome day and have fun selling HUD homes.